I've just watched a video from ITN, which shows unsettling footage of a woman in Kettering, Northamptonshire, being punched by burglars as she tries to confront them outside her house. She's in her dressing gown and she's knocked to the ground, middle-aged woman. But what caught my attention was there's a number of Americans, and I know they're Americans based on what they said, commenting underneath that. Whether they actively sought it out, I don't know, because ITN's a British channel, so I don't imagine it would be quickly filtered to a US audience. But basically, there's a number of comments talking about how, in their opinion, guns would have prevented this problem. Now, I want to address this fallacy, this moronic attitude. What they're saying is if this woman had a gun, okay, she'll just shoot the burglars. That's problematic for several reasons. Number one, under their logic, their hostility to gun control means it's actually a lot easier for criminals to get their hands on firearms. So under their logic, in theory, the burglars would have a right to have a gun because they are opposed to background checks. So that's just hypocritical. You're saying like, oh, look how soft Britain is on crime, but we're not the ones allowing criminals to have guns. In this sense, Britain's a lot tougher on crime, actually. Now, I'm the first to say that I've been a victim of crime. I'm sure this was a very traumatic experience for the woman, and I think these scumbags belong behind bars. I hope they were caught. But if we had the sort of situation in the UK as exists in the United States, there's a reasonable chance a woman could be dead, not just punched, but dead, from gun violence, because the number of people that die every year in the United States, every week in the United States, soars above Britain. This is just a fact, and what I can't get my head around is why the gun lobby can't simply accept the facts. They can't get it into their head. They're obsessed with the Second Amendment. It's like a religion for them, and that's actually more important to them than human life. And it's a very insane way of thinking. But the founding fathers never intended the situation as it is now, where any nutjob, quite frankly, can get a gun and do what he or she wants with it. You have a situation in America that's very dangerous, whereby background checks are very weak in many states, and you have a situation where pretty much anyone can get a gun with minimal bureaucracy, and then you have these situations where they fall out with their workplace, they have a grudge at school or whatever, and they go in and shoot a place up. And often the result is tragedy, with scores of people killed and injured every single week in America. It's not even news anymore. Now, to put things in context, in the United Kingdom, we have had 3 spree shootings, deadly spree shootings, in 30 years. Those were Hungerford, 1987, Dunblane, 1996, and West Cumbria, 2010. Northern Ireland, granted, is a bit different because of the political conflict that took place there. But I'm talking about in Great Britain, 3 shooting sprees, deadly shooting sprees, in 30 years. Now think of what we've had in the United States in the last 5 years alone. You've had Aurora, you've had Sandy Hook, you've had Virginia Tech, you've had all these massacres, I've lost track of them all, actually. I done some research a while back, whereby I documented every serious shooting spree in America that was involving 5 or more fatalities, and that worked out at approximately 5 or 6 a year, and that's increasing to 8, 9, 10 a year. That is shooting sprees involving 5 or more fatalities, not just wounded, fatalities. Right? Now, the idea that Britain would be better off if we made guns freely available is insane. What they'll point out is, oh, look at the Countryside Alliance people, they support more guns. Well, of course, in any democracy you're going to have mixed opinions. Yeah, there are some British people who think we should have more guns, but they're a minority, actually. Most British people strongly support our gun laws because they recognise that having more guns would not help the problem. Look, if guns made a society safer, answer this question. Why is the United States not one of the safest countries in the world? Why not? And you can't say it's just in big cities like Chicago and New York, which have to have gun laws, where the gun crime happens. And by the way, the gangs in those cities get their guns from gun shows often, gun show loopholes. But even comparing states with relaxed gun laws, so I think that argument's fallacy. Pretty much every American city, including cities and states that have soft gun laws, have far higher gun homicide rates than the UK. That's irrefutable. London's a city of 8 million people. It has approximately 120 homicides a year. Only a small fraction of those are by guns. Compare that to an American city that's a lot smaller, say for example Louisville, St. Louis, New Orleans. All those cities have far higher gun homicide rates than London. You don't have to be a genius to put that together. And this is not to say the British justice system's perfect. I'm the first to admit there's many areas we need to be a lot tougher. We're not perfect. We can certainly improve. I acknowledge that. And certainly, I'm no liberal when it comes to crime. I want to see criminals punished. But the idea of having more guns? It's insane. It's utterly insane. And to any British people who think that it's the answer, well, why don't you just go to Texas if you think life is so much better there? Go to a part of the world where you can buy guns almost as easily as you can buy a cup of coffee, and then see just how safe it is. Given a choice between that and the United Kingdom as it currently is, I'll choose this country any day. I support homeowners' right to defend themselves. So if this woman had used another weapon, yeah, I would fully support her. But gun control is common sense. The fewer guns you have in society, the fewer people die from guns. That is a fact. It's a simple, plain fact. And the sooner the gun cult get it into their heads that it's a fact, the better.